County's local television network,
Welcome back, Amador County. This is Supervisor John Plasse again discussing tomorrow's agenda items for the Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, January 26th. Last item on our agenda, actually, from carrying over from the first half of this broadcast, is a public hearing that is scheduled to be considered at 10:30 a.m. It's a public hearing to consider a proposed ordinance amending Amador County Code Section 19.84 regarding medicinal marijuana cultivation and dispensaries within the unincorporated area of the county. You may be aware that both the city of Sutter Creek and the city of Plymouth have adopted ordinances outright banning the outdoor cultivation of medicinal marijuana within their city limits. Frankly, I'm not sure if the city of Jackson has addressed that yet or not. Most local jurisdictions are addressing it based on an upcoming proposed state law that will take effect and will rule over the conditions by which marijuana can be cultivated and dispensed within our local jurisdictions, unless the local jurisdiction has their own laws on the books prior to the date of March 1st, 2016. So hence the reason for all the rapid ordinance adoptions throughout our county and our incorporated cities within the county. The county adopted an ordinance a few years ago addressing the medicinal marijuana aspect of things. And at the time, the county adopted the allowance of outdoor cultivation of medicinal marijuana. First and foremost, the individuals had to be in possession of a doctor-authorized script for medicinal marijuana. And we also put conditions on the outdoor cultivations of that to a maximum number of plants grown per prescription at 12 plants per prescription and a maximum of 2 prescriptions allowed per parcel. This was done to try to alleviate the concerns and the facts of the matter, whereby large-scale outdoor grows tend to attract a criminal element, many times from up out of the valley area, to either come steal or otherwise abscond with the plants once they have achieved a mature status. We had a murder trial out off of Carbondale Road, as you may recall, where the tender of a plantation was murdered by, I believe, a group of 5 individuals that came up out of the Sacramento Valley to conduct a theft or of that scale grow down off of Carbondale Road. We actually, after much public consideration of that agenda item, members of our community that was a strong advocate for the allowance of outdoor cultivation of marijuana and so forth, apparently was too public in their endorsement of such an item. And shortly thereafter, while the gentleman was at work that day, a knock came on the door, and when the wife answered the door, she was punched and abducted and basically told, "We're here for the weed." So just the public knowledge of larger portions of marijuana being present someplace tends to attract that criminal element. We've seen it repeatedly, as has Calaveras County, with some pretty dire results. So with that in mind, the board, in their initial consideration of an amendment to our originally adopted cultivation, we sought to reduce the number of plants. One of the provisions of the upcoming state law is not reducing or controlling the number of plants allowed to be grown for medicinal purposes, but the overall canopy size of the grow site. And the state of California has suggested or I believe put in their ordinance or their law 100 square feet canopy size. basically a 10 by 10 area. Some of the plants being grown nowadays have gotten to the size that they literally require a chainsaw to cut the stalk of the plant. It's gotten so large in size, and many would really only allow for maybe 4 plants tops to be grown in a 10 by 10 square area. With that limitation and recognition of the size of some of these plants grow to, the board also considered placing that provision in any ordinance adopted at the local level here, removing the number of plants from 12 per prescription and 24 plants per parcel to 12 per parcel was our suggestion, and also to be contained within a 10 by 10 area or 100 square feet. The ordinance went through the Planning Commission here at Amador County, and the Planning Commission heard various advocacy groups speak in terms of the need for greater amounts of marijuana for their medicinal purposes that than could otherwise be grown in that area, and the Planning Commission opted to stay with the Board of Supervisors' original ordinance that allowed for 12 per prescription and 24 plants per parcel maximum. They allowed to stay with that rather than our later recommendation, which was a reduction to a maximum of 12 plants per parcel and the 100 square foot canopy size. So along with that, we'll be considering that, as well as amendments to our ordinance that control dispensaries. We have always had an ordinance against the marijuana dispensaries being located in the unincorporated area of the county. There is also amendments necessary to address the possibility of mobile dispensaries, sort of a taco truck for weed, I guess one might call it. Excuse my ad-libbing there. So we are considering adopting ordinances that disallow mobile dispensaries as well in Amador County. It promises to be a raucous discussion, I would imagine. There are many folks that utilize marijuana for medicinal purposes, and for those folks, personally, I feel their opportunity to provide that medicine for themselves should be protected in some manner. However, the propensity seems to be that these prescriptions for medicinal marijuana are granted by less than scrupulous doctors in some instances, where the size of the fee you pay the doctor constitutes the size of the prescription that you'll be granted from that doctor for what your needs actually are. It's unfortunate that it's come to that. Some folks utilize these prescriptions to create, in some cases, and this was adopted by our earlier ordinance, and that is they'll try to create what they call a collaborative grow. And so they'll get 8, 10, 12 people that all have prescriptions for medicinal marijuana. Those prescriptions may be allowed 10 plants per person. They combine those into one grow site, and now you've got a collaborative grow that may have 200, 300 plants at it. That becomes the very public nuisance and attractor to the criminal element that we seek to avoid. Nothing good comes of it, whether it be personal home invasions, as I discussed earlier, or the larger size raids such as occurred down on Carbondale Boulevard some years ago and over in Calaveras County of late. So I will personally be looking to see to it that those types of things don't happen, but at the same time that those individuals that have a bona fide and genuine need for medicinal marijuana have the opportunity to provide for themselves on that. So it's dancing a fine line, but it most certainly will be an interesting discussion to go forward. There's a few items on our consent calendar that we may want to touch on as well. One of which is the recognition of Supervisor Forrester and Jackson City Council person Wayne Garibaldi as being honored with the Margaret Dalton Golden Nugget Award. Those two local politicians have been bestowed that award by the Jackson Band of Miwok Indians and the Jackson Rancheria Tribe, and I believe they have an event coming up to honor that award February 5th, I recall. Happens to be the same night as Supervisor Louis Boitano's campaign fundraiser at the Sutter Creek Native Sons Hall. So bit of conflicts, but typical Amador County, there's always way too many things to do on a given weekend that you can possibly fit into one schedule. So with that, we hope to see as many folks as are interested in these various agenda items at our Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow. Again, that marijuana ordinance, cultivation ordinance will be heard at 10:30 or as close to 10:30, close thereafter as we can possibly fit in with our agenda, and also anybody that has feelings regarding the proposed state of Jefferson or community development on Shenandoah Road. So hope to see you there, and thanks for listening, Amador. This is Supervisor John Plasse. See you next time.